Actor-director Tony Goldwyn is best known for his role as President Fitzgerald Grant on ABC's hit drama Scandal. Beginning with his breakout performance in the movie Ghost, Tony has enjoyed an acclaimed acting and directing career in both Hollywood and on the stage.
My mother's father, my grandfather Sidney Howard, in the late teens and through the 20s, was one of Broadway's most prolific and prominent playwrights. He wrote plays that were both, commercial, but also very socially relevant and often commenting on what was happening in society and politics. And then he went on to write the screenplay for Gone with the Wind and won an Oscar posthumously because he died tragically in 1939 at the peak of his career. I'm fascinated to know more about Sidney Howard, my maternal grandfather, and his backstory. I really don't know anything preceding his early years. I've asked family historian Jen Utley to look into my family tree. All right.
Okay, so here is a family tree chart that I put together for you.
Okay, so that's me. My father, Samuel Goldwyn Jr., my mom, Claire Janess Howard, Sidney Coe Howard, who's my grandfather. So Sidney's parents were John Lawrence Howard and Helen Louise Coe. And Lawrence White Coe and Mary Louise Graves would be my great-great-grandparents, right? Got it. So where do we go from there? Okay, early Oregonian search for Lawrence White Coe. Born in Nunde, Livingston County, New York.
Right.
Mother was Mary Taylor White, and his father was Nathaniel Coe. So that would be my great-great-great-grandfather.
Right, or 3 times.
He was a farmer in Oregon. So he was a pioneer along the Oregon Trail, maybe?
So I think it'd be interesting to go back and see what Nathaniel was doing in New York at the time.
Okay.
See what might have influenced.
The move to Oregon, yeah. Legislature of New York. The following is a complete list of the members of the New York legislature for 1844. So in the Whig Party from Allegheny County was Nathaniel Coe.
Yes.
All right, I didn't know there was a politician in my family. He was born in 1788. He was 55 years old before he even left for Oregon.
That's right.
I mean, it would be really interesting to know why he left.
I would recommend that you go to Albany, to the archives there.
Okay.
Your 3-time great-grandfather would have said, I'm about progress, I'm about reform, and using the legitimate powers of government to do that. And what I found about Nathaniel Coe is that he was a very enthusiastic Whig and played some important part in the New York State legislature. I found one example of this.
Mr. Coe asked for and obtained leave to introduce a bill entitled An Act to Punish Seduction.
The idea of the anti-seduction law is to hold the man responsible.
So that's a very significant law in terms of women's rights. So what was Nathaniel Coe's investment in this issue? Was it personal?
The place where an answer lies, it may be in Nunde, where Coe came from.
Where he came from. Dear sisters, with pleasure we announce to you the recent organization of a female society in this place, which has for its object the suppression of vice and immorality and the promotion of moral purity. Pursuant to public notice, a number of females assembled at the house of N. Coe, Esquire, 1837. Wow. That tells me that 10 years before he proposed the legislation, he helped form the society in Nunde.
And actually, it was his wife, your 3 times great-grandmother, Mary Coe, who would have actually hosted the meeting. What they were really trying to do was to challenge the sexual double standard. And in fact, one of the things I think that's most interesting about Mary and Nathaniel Coe is they clearly have a real partnership. Female moral reformers mainly use the power of petition. She would organize these
So she probably organized the petition here.
And then he would craft the legislation.
I guess the big remaining question for me is, they were leaders in this community, so why leave? The following interesting letter is from Honorable N. Coe, formerly a member of Assembly from Livingston County and now U.S. mail agent in Oregon. How would you become a mail agent?
Postal agents were nominated by the President of the United States.
Wow.
And that would be how Nathaniel Coe would get the opportunity to go to Oregon Territory and might see it as a privilege to be nominated by the President of the United States.
So that's a very high status.
Yes.
great to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So where are we?
Well, this is all that remains of the military post where your three-time great-grandparents, Nathaniel and Mary, fled to during the Yakima War.
Wow, okay. How long did the war last?
In this region, the fighting was largely over by the end of 1856.
I was curious why Nathaniel and Mary Coe chose to settle in this wild place.
Well, I think a good place to go would be to the official record, which you can find at the Oregon State Archives.
Great, all right, well, that's where we'll go. My three times great-grandparents went to Fort Dalles under threat of danger from the Indians. But I'm just curious why they stayed and what was in it for them. About the 1st of February, 1/2 acre was spaded up and put in garden, and no frosts came to destroy. Okay.
In answering your question of why did they stay in Oregon,
Right.
because it's nestled in there among the Cascade Mountains and in the Columbia River Gorge, it's protected. They barely have any snow at all to deal with, whereas if they had stayed in upstate New York, wintertime is you'd have to wait until May to be able to plant anything.
Okay, got it. Mrs. Coe belongs the credit of changing the name of Dog River to Hood River.
They're trying to establish Hood River as a place you would really want to buy produce from.
It takes quite a spirit of adventure when you have everything you could want to say, no, let's reinvent this and do something completely different. That big question that came up for me, why they didn't go back to upstate New York, and it became really clear to me that he had found this perfect little oasis in Hood River. They really felt they could build something substantial, which they did.